Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our storytelling show, Awkward Teenage Years. And today is actually super important and super fun edition, a Pride celebration. That is why we have so much rainbow behind me, on my eyes, and in my heart. There's rainbows just blowing everywhere. Just to tell you a little bit about our show and how it's gonna go, it's true storytelling show and about awkward teenage years. And today we welcome people from all the colors of the rainbows. And today they're gonna tell a story about first love and first hi and first everything, and ultimately about coming of age. And first storyteller, although I'm sorry, today's storytelling lineup is just bellissimo, just amazing, just 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 superstar. And our first storyteller is great, amazing, Annie Krabbenschmidt. And she is a writer and teacher living between New York and Los Angeles. She does improv and storytelling at the Magnet Theater, and she loves Magnet community. We do. She is the co-host of podcast Love is Softball Field, a lesbian podcast about lesbians being lesbians. Please welcome Annie Krabbenschmidt.
Hello. Wow, I always wanted to hear my name. It's just said so beautifully that way. Thank you. That was my Oprah moment, and I have to savor it before I get into storytelling mode. Okay, so in my awkward teenage years, what I wanted more than anything else in the entire world was a boyfriend. And if I could, pin down a reason or a moment why this was true, I would have to enlighten the fact that when I was a preteen, Twilight was hitting the book stands, which was like my 50 Shades of Grey moment, except a lot less sexual, and in that way, a lot safer for me. Now, it's not necessarily that I wasn't a sexual being. I did get my pleasure, but mostly when I was gripping my limited edition Platinum GameCube controller and trying to beat my own personal best record at Mario Kart on 150cc mushrooms. And this is before video games had vibrating controllers, so it was very PG. And nothing more to it than me just eating a bag of sour cream and cheddar ruffles and a tub of ice cream. Now, of course, you may be wondering that maybe this kid doesn't know how to socialize, but actually, I was fairly social and fairly good at a lot of things. And I took a lot after my older sister, who was 3 years older than me. She had a boyfriend from the very first second she stepped on our high school's campus, and she had boys fawning after her constantly. And I assumed that since I share 50% of her DNA, that I too would have this power. And I believe, and to just enlighten you a little bit more about her situation, she's this beautiful, brilliant, witty, blonde. She's not actually blonde, but she has the confidence and attitude of a blonde woman. And she said to me this February of this year, February 1st, she said, my tiny Pop-Tart. And I said, yes, this will be the first Valentine's Day in 15 years that I won't have a boyfriend, which is a problem that I can't relate to. And by February 14th, she had somehow found some sort of Austrian nobleman to be her Valentine. So she is going strong. Situation again that I cannot relate to. She's going on 15 years. Let's hope for 16 for next year. Way to go, older sister Catherine. But despite her successes, I did not have the same prowess. And I knew that I would be a very good girlfriend if I did have the chance. If I had a strapping young football player, a boyfriend, I would be at every single game, chest and tummy painted, letter of my high school brandished on me, cheering my butt off, lifting my shirt up. I would be there for him, and I would never ever cheat on him, which is a very low bar, but I just know that I wouldn't, and that's the kind of person I am, and I wanted to share that gift with someone else. And while I was so good at so many things, I was very, very bad at flirting, it turned out. And I tried very hard. My freshman year math class, there was a boy named Kenny, and we would have these very sexy and sensual math competitions over who got the highest score on our most recent quizzes. And I should say that he didn't really consent to being in a competition. I just generally flashed my test scores at him, from which he would turn away with a sneer. So apparently that wasn't a good tactic. I would always play ball with the boys, throwing the old basketball, throwing a football, occasionally offering tips to someone on how they could improve their spiral. Again, for whatever reason, not a great flirting tactic. Who knows why? Fragility of young teenage men. But I didn't know what to do. I did socialize. I did go to parties. I just went in sweatpants, and I didn't drink much because I like to drive because I have control issues, and also it helped me relive the thrill of being a paratrooper in the old everyone calm down, it's fine, of being behind my old shell car and reliving those glory days. So it's not that I didn't know how to socialize or didn't have friends. It was just this one piece I couldn't figure out. No matter how many laps I sat on at parties, I couldn't nail me a boyfriend. And so I waited a long, long time. And my sister, while she spent all of her years in high school with a devoted boyfriend, I spent most of my years alone and wondering why. And then my junior spring, I finally uncovered a little secret, which was that while I did enjoy these parties, I may not be the one finding a man at these parties. No. I would be finding a boy at a Model UN conference. So there I was at UC Berkeley when I was about 16, and I was representing Chile, and my fellow delegate, Alex, incidentally, we have the same initials, so everyone called us AK squared, which I should say is mathematically incorrect because AK plus AK is actually 2AK and not AK squared, just so we're clarifying on the math, which is important to me, which I let everyone know, which was another reason why I didn't have a boyfriend. But there we were at our Model UN conference, and being the sheltered, privileged white kids that we were, we thought it was a good idea that when people asked us how we were doing, we would say that Chile was on shaky grounds because they had recently suffered a devastating earthquake. And I promise you that no one hates me more than I hate me right now. And all I can do is pledge to you that I will never make a joke like that again, and I will learn and do better. But at 16, we thought this was a riot. And pretty much no one else at the conference wanted to talk to us because of that. And we just sat alone all day making our jokes back and forth. And it was instant chemistry. So we left that weekend and we texted every day for a week, and really not much needed to be said. Just one word, Chile, back and forth. I say Chile, he texts back Chile. I would see him at school and I'd say Chile and he'd say Chile. And what else was there really to say besides that? And about a week after texting every day, we stumbled upon each other at a party. Again, I know how to go to parties, and I see him in the corner and I think, I know what I need to do, but I need a little extra help to do it. So I pour myself a glass of root beer and about a thimble of whiskey, which is still enough that I could drive home fine. And I knock it back and I have the energy, and I walk over to him and I say hello, and he says hello. And then he says, do you want to go outside for a little bit? And I said, yes, so we do. And then we were around a bunch of people and he said, do you want to go over to that trampoline back there? And I said, yes, so we do. And then about 10 minutes of standing and awkward small talk later, he said, okay, should we do this? And I said, yes, so we did. By which I mean, I went in for a kiss and he landed his mouth on my cheek and suction cupped himself to me. And so I stood there. We finally found our mouths together. We made out for a little bit. And then about 3 minutes later, I said, I have to go home now. So I went home. And like the gentleman he was, within minutes, he was texting me Chile. A true fairy tale for someone who once dreamed of being punished to a world of eternal damnation as the undead. And I was very excited about this text and agreeing to go out with him on some dates for about like 10 minutes maybe. And then I was like, you're really annoying me. In fact, the fact that you want to take me to dinner all the time is just a bummer. And you want to take me to prom, which I don't understand. And you keep making that Chile joke, which just isn't funny to me anymore. And I don't understand why all of a sudden I'm not interested in Alex, poor Alex. And then I think to myself, this is it. You can't have boys who have dropped off the honors math track as your boyfriend. You need to wait and find your man at college. And so I patiently wait. I'm no longer searching for a boyfriend because I know that there's brighter horizons ahead for me. And I go to Duke, and everything you're probably thinking in your head right now about Duke is probably true. And I am there my very first week, and I go to a big frat party. And as I said many times, I'm no stranger to a party. And this time I said, no sweatpants. That has not worked for you before. So I put on my best cardigan, and I'm getting ready to go to this party. And it is just a shitstorm. It is so humid and sweaty in there. And all these Duke frat guys are everything you'd imagine about a Duke frat guy, except they're shirtless. And it is very overwhelming. And I realize in that exact moment that I was gay. And I was gay the whole time. And the reason I didn't have any feelings for Alex Kaplan or the fact that he repulsed me had nothing to do with his humor or his jokes. It was just, I was not attracted to him or anyone like him. And I was very, very sad that night. And I left this frat party alone, and I took the bus back to my dorm, and I'm crying because the one thing I've ever wanted in this whole world, and wasn't much to ask for, was a boyfriend, and I would never, ever have it. And that was very sad for me. And so I cried for a long time about that, which is a story for another day. But I was deeply, deeply upset that I wouldn't have my chance to paint my letters on my tummy, not possibly thinking that within a few months I might meet a hockey player, a lady hockey player who played field hockey, tall and blonde and athletic and brilliant, and that she might be my first girlfriend many months later. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thank you, Anastasia.
That was an amazing story. Yeah, that frat party, and just just find out that you're gay and being sad that you're not gonna have a boyfriend anymore.
So sad. I don't regret it now, but so sad at the time.
Oh my God, that was great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Annie. Okay, so we're going to go to a next storyteller for tonight. It's gonna be James Roberts IV, and he's an actor, singer, songwriter, yoga teacher, and content creator from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Currently based in Brooklyn, New York, James is looking forward to one day having a relationship last longer than a Gaga album. So am I. Please welcome James Roberts IV.
Unmute. There we go. Awesome.
We lost James.
You've lost me.
Yes. James, come back.
Am I still? I can hear you.
Great.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. We'll do this again.
And welcome, James Roberts IV.
Yes. All right. So, onward, men, is what I heard my friend Haynes say as we approach the gate at Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. I'm feeling excited and scared. It is my first flight, but I have waited years for this moment. My first summer tour with the Chattanooga Boys Choir, destination London, where everything would change. Now, up to this point with the choir, I had pretty much only been doing the bare minimum to get by. I wasn't there to hone my craft as an artist and be the best singer ever. I wasn't there to make lasting friendships. No, I wanted to travel. I wanted to get my picture with Big Ben and get out. However, there was so much excitement leading up to that first tour and all those months leading up that it kind of broke my defenses. And all of a sudden, all of these boys who for years who had just been faces, some of them had started to become friends, especially Jesse. Now, Jesse was a chosen boy. He was this good-looking kid with a magnetic personality, um, beautiful smile, and a golden voice. Um, and I'd known him for years, but we had started going to the same school that year. And it was only then that I had started to see the other side of him, not the little perfect kid that he was in front of the adults. I started to see the little mischief, the little slightly twisted, funny side of him. Um, so that was great. And we started to become close through that. And him and a few other guys, through them, I started to find my tribe. Um, and I would say we were kind of popular, for lack of a better word. I mean, popularity is relative among adolescent boy sopranos, but I'd say we were a fairly popular, well-liked bunch, and they were very much a lifesaver on that first flight over to London, which was tumultuous to say the least. First, I was sandwiched between two strangers at the beginning of the flight, and one of my friends switched with me with one of those strangers so I could not be alone for 7 hours. And then they also found an antacid for me after eating the flight's suspect chicken on the way over. So yeah, not a comfortable flight. But we eventually got to London. It's a foggy afternoon. We got there, and I got my picture with Big Ben within the first few hours. It was great. And we spent an entire week really just immersing ourselves in the culture. We oh, good Lord. We did a lot of things. We spent a week immersing ourselves in the culture. We got these fake, stupid British accents and just could not go anywhere without discussing the latest national tragedy, which, of course, at that time was Jerry leaving the Spice Girls. We were just completely gutted. We could not handle it. And, we saw the sights, we ate all the fish and chips, we bought all of the Beanie Babies. And I was starting to get sad to see everything come to an end. On our last afternoon, it was a Saturday afternoon, we took a day trip out of London to Cambridge, where we would sing at the Great St. Mary's Church. Great St. Mary's Church is this very beautiful Gothic church dating back to 1478. And we sang there in the afternoon. And afterwards, after we changed out of our black patent leather vests and black vest and patent leather shoes, a patent leather vest would be very nice too, but we didn't sing in that. We put on our matching blue polos and khakis. Me and Jesse were heading to the door to find our group, but we saw this wooden door off to the side, old, and had a sign beside it saying that for £2 we could climb to the top of the church's 113-foot Gothic tower. And we were all about it. We were like, screw you guys, we're going to go up on this tower. And we opened that old wooden door, and then we just and it's, even though it's still light out, there's very few windows in the tower, so very few little light is getting in, and we start to make our way up those stairs. And after 123 stairs, countless laughs, we get to another old wooden door. Jesse pushes it open, and I am just of light, just stunned and silent. And I immediately go, we're looking out over, and we see these beautiful manicured lawns over the marketplace, and we can occasionally make out a group of boys in blue polos like ours, no doubt just spreading all sorts of mischief all over Cambridge. But it's just us two alone at the top of the world, it felt like. And I look over at Jesse, and I see the wind blowing through his auburn hair, just kind of flowing everywhere, a 90s bowl cut, of course. And it just sends these chills down to my bones. And I've never felt anything anything like it before. It was like, you know, I'm 4,000 miles away from where I live, but in that moment, that was the first time I felt at home. It was like the world kind of opened up as I saw, you know, the sun hitting his face. We were just kind of looking out over everything. Everything else was just so small and insignificant below us. And, you know, it was amazing. However, as amazing as that moment was, you know, wheels were starting to click in my head and dots were starting to connect. I was starting to realize um, and remember a lot of things that I had been told growing up. Things like boys not supposed to play with dolls, or them gay motherfuckers better get out my face, or go somewhere else, you little queer. And just slowly but surely, I started to realize, oh shit, that might be about me. And even though that moment up on that tower with Jesse was just so amazing, I realized that what I'm feeling for him is a problem. It's a problem that's going to be magnified exponentially in less than 24 hours when I am back in Tennessee, far from this beautiful, lofty tower and far from the freedom that came with being so far above it all. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah.
That was amazing, James.
Thank
So
you.
beautiful.
Oh.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Can you
Thank
say
so
something
much.
in British accent?
We were positively gutted to see that Jerry had left the Spice Girls. I mean, it was just it was a national tragedy. It really was. It really was. Yeah.
Not only can you do it well, you also knew exactly what to talk about when you needed to go into it.
Yeah, I had spent months and months like learning basically every single word to every Spice Girl song leading up to that trip. I was in it. Austin Powers, anything British, I was in it.
Real culture.
Thank you. Amazing story. We lost you a little bit, but yes,
Oh.
no. We got this beautiful
Okay.
man with his hair on the tower. Yes, we were with you. Definitely.
Good.
We could see the amazing shirt throughout.
Perfect. At least we had a visual.
Beautiful. James, would you like to plug in anything new, exciting?
I mean, let's see. I'm on the Instagram at JamesRoberts96, and I have a podcast. I should be more committed and regular with it, but it is a storytelling podcast where I just kind of tell from my life. It is called Life Period Story period, and that's how you can find it. Yeah, it's on the Spotify and the Apple Podcast and all of those things. So that's where that is. If you search Life Story in my name, you'll probably get it.
Okay.
James, what's your
Yeah.
Instagram handle one more time so we can all get you?
Yay! It is James Roberts, the number 9 and the number 6.
Thank you so much.
And it's
Yay.
also going to be in chat in Twitch, so all our audience can find you.
Yay!
And also, I am so sorry, Annie, I didn't ask you this question. What would you like to plug in? So I would like to come back to you.
Well, I don't want to take up any more of our time, but I also have a podcast, and it's called Love is a Softball Field, as you said. And then I have a book that's coming out hopefully early 2021, called Fred. So keep an eye out, and you might see that out in the world.
Yes.
And hopefully 2021 is going to
Well,
be a better year.
Or hopefully we get it. We get 2021.
Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you very much, James. Thank you, Annie.
You're
And
welcome. Thanks for
now-
having me.
Thank you. And now we're going to move along to our next amazing storyteller. Please welcome the greatest, David Crabb. He's a host of Risk Show, which is also amazing storytelling show. And he's a host at the Moth, also amazing storytelling event. He's author of a memoir, Bad Kid, and member of the Groundling Sunday Company. Please welcome amazing David Crabb.
You do the best
Woo!
intros. I just need you to I need to take you emanating from a small speaker in my pocket. Just when I go to get a coffee, just he's here. Before I start, I just want to say I love what James said about that specific haircut. It's called the mushroom is what I always called it. I had it throughout a lot of high school, and I always worked it in that emotional way where, it was all one length. So there was always a lot of I don't know, Becky, tucking and feeling. Anyway, it's my favorite haircut. But before I had that, let's see. So if you would have seen me in 8th grade, going to Garner Middle School in San Antonio, Texas, you would have seen me during lunch with my girlfriend, Amber. And it would have been really clear that we were boyfriend and girlfriend because I would have been sitting behind her, braiding her hair, while she fed me cherry jelly beans, and we talked about how amazing Taylor Dane was. So, a boyfriend. I had a feeling, I've known queer people who say they knew at 3 years old. They're like, I knew. I was not like that. I got weird rumblings in elementary school that were I would watch Silver Spoons, and I'd be like, oh, I wish I could hug Ricky Schroeder so hard. And then I would see Kirk Cameron, and I'd be like, oh, I bet a sleepover with him would be fun. It was it was all not quite right. But then by the time 8th grade hit, I knew. And as anyone that's closeted can attest to, it's a very lonely time when you're in your adolescence and you're having all those peak sexual feelings and you can't express yourself. And I think for some people it's lonely because you just kind of make yourself a wallpaper and you sort of disappear from your own life for a little while. And then I think other people, I've known guys who were the butchest football players all through college, and they came out at 28 or 30, and they talk about, oh no, I was lonely too, because I was surrounded by people all the time, but I wasn't me. No matter how you cut it, you're just alone. And the thing about being with girls, with Amber, was that they offered a beard, and it was also well, that's an easy thing to have with me, because a legion of boys will make me uncomfortable, but girls are safe, and I can kind of act like I like them in that way. And now I had a sort of a chain of girls throughout middle school. They all had the same thing in common. They were convenient, right? Her desk was by me. One was my neighbor, Maria. I remember Maria had giant braces and loved eating American cheese slices all day. And I would just look at her and think, I have to kiss her. It wasn't great for me, but Amber was awesome. And the reason Amber was awesome is because she was deeply religious, super, super religious. And I was like, I'm never going to have to do anything with this girl, right? We could just, she was nice. She had a really pretty room. She had those strawberry markers with glitter in them that smelled so good. We both had Swatch phones, so we would watch Blossom together and talk about how cool Joey was. Yeah. So she was awesome. And then, my mom liked her too. My mom liked her because she had red hair. She looked like Fergie, the Duchess of York. And my mother loved the royal family. My mother was a little Canadian woman from Newfoundland, Canada. She really stuck out in San Antonio. And she was very sweet and very supportive. My mom was weird. She liked a lot of she was obsessed with criminal forensic stuff. She had all those books like John Wayne Gacy, The Killer Clown. She had a collection of his paintings. She had Ted Bundy, The Stranger. And if I'm honest, my mom liked Ted Bundy a little too much. Mom, if you're watching, you'd know what I'm talking about. It was weird. But she really was into criminal psychology. We'd watched a lot of horror movies together. And looking back, I'm my mom would have been a really safe person to come out to, but you don't know that when you're in 8th grade. But I knew that my mom liked Fergie, my little Fergie. So being with Amy was fun. And I always remember one day we were at lunch and I was braiding her hair, and she looked over at me, and she wore a crucifix all the time. And she was petting it, and she looked at me and she said, David, I heard from God last night, and he said, it's okay. And I was I was one clump of hair, another clump of hair, what? I probably really hurt her with tightening after that. I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, it's okay. And I was like, oh, no. And then from that point on, I don't know what signal Amy got from God, but I felt like, you know, in the Alien movies, the Alien, how it has the jaw and hinges, but then a small alien mouth also comes out. It felt like being around Amy was like, Amy would part her lips and then a tiny, it was just like, it was like Adrian 2 in Little Shop of Horrors. It just like, all just kind of like I would duck, I would cough in her face sometimes. Like there was a thing where she thought I was sick for a few weeks, so she'd go, like it was just terrible. And I remember at one point we went to go see Arachnophobia, which was this huge hit. It was a horror movie, kind of a horror comedy about like this town had this plague of spiders. They were deadly poisonous spiders. And I remember sitting with her in the dark, and it was like watching the movie was like being with her. She was just so ready, you know, like there were just fingers and little breaths and little, I would just be like, I'd cough or I'd eat popcorn. And I was like, how am I gonna get out of this? This is terrible. And then one day I was home with my mom, and she had done a tarot workshop or metaphysics, like crystal healing. I don't know what it was, but she had a bunch of these interesting books, and one of them was this book. And I remember it had a big purple cover, and it was like Mysteries and Spells of the Occult. And as I looked at it, I found something, and I had this idea. So a few days later, we're at lunch, and I'm braiding, and then sometimes I would comb Amy's hair. I would brush her hair. She had one of those candy plastic brushes, it's plastic. And I'm brushing her hair, and I say, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. And she says, okay. And I get up and I leave. Now, when I leave Amy alone, Amber, when I leave Amber alone, what Amber sees is this book, this purple book that I had in my backpack, and her hair is sticking out of the top of it. And I can only assume that Amber opened the book and saw that I had tucked some of her hair into a section about how to make a voodoo doll. When I came back out of the bathroom, Amber was gone. Her backpack was gone. There was all of her tailored in cassette singles. She took them with her. Her Walkman, it was gone. I went home from school. My mom was working at the mall, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and it's Amber's mom. And she says, hi, David. This is Amber's mom. I know, I like to do it. This is Amber's mom, and I am calling. I don't know how, okay. So we like you. And I'm like, and immediately I'm like, is she dumping me? Like, is Amber's mom breaking up with me? And I proceeded to listen to this woman writhe in discomfort with Amber whispering her. And I don't know if you've ever been 12 years old dumped by a 43-year-old person, but it's a real place of power. Like, it really feels like you're taking some ownership over yourself at a young age. And finally, you know, she said very sweetly, she likes you, but we're very, like she said nothing, but she said it's over, and I knew. And then she hung up the phone, and I was like, done and dusted. And then immediately I looked around my mom and I's tiny apartment, and I was like, what did I do? I was so lonely. Like, it was like that. I was like, I just undid the best thing that I can hope for in my life ever. I would not hang out with people for a while. I would wallpaper after that. I wore a lot of khakis and baby blue button downs. I looked in pictures of me in 8th grade, sort of like a tiny lesbian that works at Best Buy. Like, that's what all the photos of me kind of look like. I'm just hiding, putting my leg up on the carpet box for the school pictures. Terrible. And, but a year later, I would start to meet some weird people that wore a lot of black, people that liked an MTV show called 120 Minutes that played music videos of really depressed British guys with makeup singing the best music I'd ever fucking heard in my whole life. And I would start to paint my fingernails with liquid paper and wear dog collars casually, a cape at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, why not? And it was the first time that I knew a group of people where I could look at some girl in like her dead grandmother's funeral veil with one gray contact lens. And I would tell her I was gay, and she would look at me and she's like, that's it. Like, these were my people. Like, I found my place. So it would be another year or so, but on a very crowded industrial teen dance floor called FX, which is in a cinder block box by the highway, right by the airport, I would, to a Nine Inch Nails song, have my first kiss with a very cute boy with mushroom hair. It's all full circle. Thank you very much.
Yay.
Oh, yes, mushroom hair.
I love the mushroom hair.
That Jordan Catalano thing, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is amazing. This is amazing. Next
I love
person
it.
I don't like, I'll do.
Oh, the voodoo doll. Yeah.
Yes.
She's really happy, P.S. She went on, she met another very ginger-complected person. They have a legion of tiny orange children, and they're so
good.
happy. They're so happy. I keep up
Good.
with her. She's great. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Great, great, great story. So, David, what do you have? Something new?
Oh
Something
yeah.
great?
Well, Risk, the show that I direct and post out here in LA, has moved online. So it's kind of cool. It's 3 times a week. You can go to risk-show.com for tickets, and it's cool because instead of like a New York show and an LA show and it's like a really cool show for people from all over the country or the world, really, which is really a fun way to watch it. So if you go there, you can find tickets. And until we all come out of this bizarre clamshell we're trapped inside of, that's all I've got right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay, David.
Thank you for having me. So fun.
Excitement.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and now is the time for public service announcement. We have in this show, obviously for free for all of you, but please, 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 we want you to bring your attention to 2 organizations that support LGBTQ plus community. And both of them are in New York. And I just want to, say more about local, because our show and our co-producers, we are originally from New York. And I would also suggest to anyone who's listening to us around the country, support your not only the biggest names, the biggest organizations, but also your local organizations. And one of the local organizations here in New York is the Center, and that's the Lesbian, Gays, Bisexual, and Transgender Community Center. And basically, this is a center that provides one-of-a-kind support and empowers community members to lead healthy, successful lives. We proudly celebrate our community's diversity and advocate for justice and opportunity. And I can tell you for sure that this organization is also helping a lot of immigrants who are running from those countries, whereas the just being yourself is not allowed. And me, myself, coming from such country, I definitely use the support from that organization, and I would love for you to donate and to that center. And you can go to gaycenter.org/respond2020 to give anything that you have, 1, 2, 5, hundreds, 5,000, $100s just to support this amazing organization that supports our New York community. Another organization that we want to bring your attention to is the Anti-Violence Project. And that AVP empowers lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and HIV-affected communities and allies to end all forms of violence through organizing and education, and support survivors through counseling and advocacy. And this is very important to our community. We go through a lot of struggle, and this organization supports us and the New York community to go through it. So to donate, you can also go at avp.org/donate and give them a little bit more support. Yes, thank you very much. You can do it right now. You can do it in the end of the show. You can do it anytime. But now we're gonna go back to our show, and we have another amazing storyteller, a stunning Lorena Russi. Lorena is Queens native who sold out to become a full-time comedian in Brooklyn. She's written for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Digital Team, Spotify, and has been featured on the Oscars. Follow her on @ColonialManface And you can also see her handles in the chat and here in Twitch. And please welcome amazing Lorena Russi.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Wow, that bio is longer than I remember. Hello, you guys, what a cuckoo world. I also love that everyone wore a black t-shirt and James was like, I'm gonna be naked for this. I'm gonna be naked for the show. I'm gonna look incredible. And we were like, black t-shirts, everybody, what do you think? Try to take a shower before the show? I don't know. Okay, I have 7 minutes. I have socks everywhere. Honestly, my favorite thing for comedians to do is to show what's actually on your desk, because everyone's like clean the perimeter of what you can see, but it's like absolutely like lube and hoodies everywhere. I don't have sex. I do. I'm getting married. Oh my God, I'm getting Zoom married. Okay, here we go. Here's the story. I was a teen. I'm naked. You like this? I was a teen, and when I was, I mean, I'm all grown up and like it's all smooth sailing for me. But when I was a teen, I essentially looked like this. So I looked like a Dominican prince, had made love to the Jewish part of Drake. Okay. And so now I can verbalize this, and now I'm a fully self-realized person. But back then I didn't know that that was my like niche market. And so at the time I was a heterosexual, and I ended up becoming a professional soccer player, but at the time was training really hard and had never smoked weed in my life. Right. So I was very, very scared of it. Immigrant kid, 2 Colombian parents, and they're like, we're going to take the stereotype and turn it on its head. Okay, you're not going to touch anything. And I was like, you got it. And so I did my first drama class. You know, we were 19. We were like, let's do a little, let's do the arts. And my parents were like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm cleaning. I'm cleaning. And they were like, okay, great. We love you so much. Lawyer or doctor. And I took this like drama class, and I met all of these, I think, okay, they're called stoners. They were stoners, and I like that about them. I like that. I was like, do you guys not have a 10-year plan? And they're like, no, we're just kind of going with it. They were white, and so they weren't. No, they weren't white. I'm not friends with white people. What are we saying? Lube is over there. Okay, so we took this class, and at the time I was a heterosexual. Still am. Still love it. Still so straight. Can't believe it. And I met this very cute Dominican guy. I'm Colombian, so I was like, okay, this is like not gonna work, but you're very pretty, so I'll kiss you on the mouth. And I was very excited. I was like, okay, like. I'm like friends with people that like smoke weed, and we're like taking our class, and they're like, Lorena, do you want to try weed with us for the first time? And I was like, absolutely, I do. Come on over to my place. My parents will have no idea. Why don't we make edibles? Because, I was like trying to be a type A immigrant kid, and they were stoners. So they were like, yeah, cool. We don't care. However you want to take it. Let's do it. We go to my house, and my parents, like, for whatever reason that night, I think also like, when you're older and you're not really sure what is going on or how it worked out. But I think my parents were a little bit like, she's with her friends. We're going to go to sleep early. And whatever that smell is, because they're also kind of dum-dums, like they probably knew something. They probably thought we were like, I don't know, like snorting glue, but it was actually weed. So they're like, they're at home, so it's safe, it's fine. My parents go to sleep, and we are cooking, like we are like masterclass cooking these wheat brownies in my apartment. And I'm like, okay, like, what's going to happen? So we have one. There's 5 of us, and we're having this dinner. It's like 10 p.m. We're like, okay, we have one. 20 minutes pass, and I don't feel anything. So I was like, guys, well, maybe we should have another one. And they're like, great. And again, they don't have a plan for the next hour, much less the next week. I had a soccer tournament the next day. They're like, 2, you'll be fine. I had 7. I had 7 weed brownies. I had never had them. I had 7, 1 for every sin. And I just unhinged my jaw and had these. And after the first 32 minutes, I was like, I don't feel anything. And then every 10 minutes, it just got into like Dante's Inferno. It was a weed brownie for every level down there. By the end, I was so stoned. I thought everyone was talking to me in Spanish. No one, not even my boyfriend, spoke Spanish. They looked like 2-dimensional, those like really creepy roller coaster rides where it's like, or like in Goofy movie when they're like the, oh my God, what are they called? The like little rodents are like, and like all of it's broken. That's what I thought. So I thought I was like in a weird carnival ride. So it's 3 a.m. We're all like so stoned, like my eyes are like moving. I have cotton mouth. I'm with my boyfriend. I'm holding my boyfriend. Everyone has all of a sudden left. I don't know where anyone is. We go to my room and we have sex. Now, let me explain. This is like straight up Catholic sex. Like we just lie on top of each other, fully clothed to completion, and then just go off each other. I don't know. To this day, I literally think about it. I go, but how because it was incredible. But when I say I don't think I touched any genital on solo or on his, like I just don't know what happened. But we wake up the next day just like out of this fucking cryo chamber of marijuana, so high. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. I was like, I'll wake up, it'll be fine. I'm worse. I'm now 7 weed brownies in, stoned out of my mind. I have to go to a soccer tournament. I kick out the Dominican boyfriend. My dad is, for whatever reason, on the phone with his sister. He's never on the phone. I didn't even know he had sisters. I was like, I have an aunt. I'm so high. So I am like, think I'm like very smoothly talking to my dad. And it's really just me kind of like, hey dad, I have to go to school. Can you take me to school? And he's like, yeah, you're acting weird. I was like, you're acting weird. And he's like, by the way, did you have sex last night? And I was like, by the way, did you have sex last night? Get me in the car. We go to school. No, like he's just asking me if I've had sex. And I just keep asking him if he's had sex. He, for whatever reason, has no idea that I'm stoned. He's just like, okay, she's curious. She's 19 years old. It's about time we explain to her sex. I get to school. I vomit. I have 30 seconds left, so I'll just quickly tell you. I vomit. I played the first 2 games, and then my coach subbed me for the rest of the tournament. He's like, what's wrong with you? And I said I was pregnant. Proceeded to start a rumor on my team that I was pregnant. Okay. I was like, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm just like, didn't wear, like, just, I'm honeycombed, whatever, like like my vagina is just like a honeycomb of cum. And they're like, what? I was like, I'm pregnant, help me. So like 4 of the girls took me to the bathroom for an intervention. I am so stoned. I can't even stay awake in between the games. And they're like, you're clearly depressed. I was like, I'm so depressed. This is deodorant. At the end of it, I finally go home and I'm like, I'm just going to go to sleep and I'll be fine. The next day I woke up still stoned. I had to play another soccer game, not for my school, thank the Lord. And I have never touched weed since, except for yesterday and the week before and a couple months before that. Thank you so much. My name is Lorena Russi. I'm done. Zoom shows.
Yes.
Yay. Okay,
Oh
goodbye.
my
Or are there
God.
questions? I've been seeing there's like a follow-up
Oh,
question.
goodness.
Yes, there's a follow-up question. Lorena, what is
Wow.
happening?
Oh
What's
my God.
new? What can I plug into?
Honestly, what's really new is this, okay, because we didn't have it before, and now me and my wife are getting into a fight of who's going to close the drawers, and we're in a staunch nobody's closed them. So that's really what's new. I mean, you can go on my Instagram at Colonial Man Face if you really want to see what's, popping. Everyone has a podcast. I'm sure. I don't listen to mine. I've got, just go on. If you'll find it. If you want to find it, you'll find it. You know what I mean? I've so much support. Go. Risk is international now. The world's your oyster, babe. Just get on that Instagram. Don't TikTok. I don't TikTok. But I could. Honestly, what I could use the most help with, I just bought my first pair of Jordans and I don't think I like them. And my inner masculine Latin man is like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what's wrong with you? So that's what I could use help with. That's where you can follow me. Call me. Tell me if I should keep the shoes.
Yes.
Don't.
Honeycomb of cum is a visual I'll never get out of my mind.
Okay, good. Nor will I. I'm still dating that man. I have a child.
I got to leave
Oh, wow.
because my girlfriend's sister went to a soccer tournament. And I just remembered that happened. So thanks for the memories.
You
Oh,
are so welcome. You're listen. That's like, I feel like what all of my exes say. They're like, oh my God, I went to soccer games. When did that? Oh, her, right. So yeah. It's a normal, yeah.
awesome. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
All right. And before our last storyteller, another public service announcement. But for now, it is specifically about us. We are Awkward Teenage Years storytelling show. And please find us everywhere on Facebook, on Instagram, not on TikTok, but maybe in the future. And definitely, if you have an amazing story, and you do definitely have it, a story about your awkward teenage years, please email us your pitches to awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. And definitely watch all our videos of our shows on YouTube. Again, Awkward Teenage Years. And just, search for us everywhere and follow us, please. All right. Thank you so much. And now it's the time for our last storyteller of this evening, Scott Turner Schofield. He is the first out trans man to be nominated for an acting Emmy for his role in the Amazon Prime drama Studio City. And all of you who have that Amazon Prime ordering bunch of stuff right now while you're in quarantine, go and watch Studio City. He also teaches Hollywood how to tell authentic transgender stories. The most recent example being HBO's Euphoria. If you like the story, Google Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps. Please welcome amazing Scott Turner Schofield.
Woo!
I'm going to tell you a story from my life as a debutante, or at least in debutante culture, which one of your producers, Will Clegg, knows me very well from. So it was the summer of 1997, and my best friend, Elizabeth Asti, was coming out too. Now, she wasn't queer, she was a debutante, but don't go thinking the two are mutually exclusive, okay? The path across the ballroom floor is far from straight. So Liz had to spend her entire summer coming out, but because she was a debutante, this was like totally fine. That's what they actually call it, coming out, right? I was not Elizabeth's attendant in coming out like we told my mother. I had other kinds of coming out to attend to. My debutante ball was the perfect alibi. So I should stop and mention that I've come out more times than realistically should be allowed, right? And that's just what it is when you grow up without representation. When no one shows you that a person like you exists, then you have to just kind of keep following along to the next closest thing. And so this is a time when I was coming out as a lesbian. Because, Ellen was coming out at the same time. I figured that's a match, right? But do all lesbians want to be men? Actually, no. In fact, lesbians don't want to be men, and they don't want to be with men either. There's like zero manness inside the lesbians, except, well, you know what I'm talking about. It's a minefield of a conversation. But lesbians don't want to be men. Trans men want to be men. That's the tricky part. Now, I've been saying this whole thing, I've been muted. Is that right? Okay, because I just had this thing that said unmute yourself, and I was like, okay, good. You were all having facial reactions, so it's fine. So the summer of Elizabeth Asti's debutante ball was my hot, sticky summer of love. While Liz donned white kid gloves in 100% humidity and sipped sweet tea at any one of debutante season's pool parties, I stayed up late to watch streetlights glow in halos of humidity and watch the road after rain run like a river of fog until the first light of dawn dried it back to asphalt. I was in love, y'all, with her. Not Elizabeth, though I did always want to get in the debutante's dress, but that's a whole other story. While Liz met every socialite in the city of Charlotte, county of Mecklenburg, Queen City of the South, I got my earlobes licked, my thighs stroked, my shape molded by Abby Lowe. Now, Abby Lowe came from the wrong side of the tracks, and in Charlotte, North Carolina, this means that you live in the shadows of the big buildings. It means that the sun shines flat on your side of town while it glitters off of the south-facing First Union building and then shines onto the Bank of America, which then refracts in beautiful rays of light on the Wachovia and the south rich part of town. I don't know if they planned it that way. I suppose it would be impolite to speculate, but I loved Abbey Low, and I was not about to let any one-way street system or Friday night roadblock get in the way of me and my first love. So I have to digress for a second. What was a nice girl like I was doing with a dyke like Abby Howe? How did I get away with it? I mean, didn't I have parents? See, I have written papers, editorials, manifestas about teenage lesbian invisibility, about how the world is so sexist and heterosexist that it relegates the real life of queer youth to the margins, half-inch margins, written in white ink and on white paper, which in itself is problematic. But thinking back on it, invisibility had its perks. Mom, I'm going out with the girls. No, Mom, there will not be any boys at this party. Mom, she's a debutante. Sleeping in the same bed means nothing to her. And so the saga of Abbey Low. Now, I could paint a picture of a South that does exist, right? I could tell you horror stories of family estrangement by community arrangement, the despair, the loneliness, the sometimes violence of coming out queer in the South. I could tell you all those stories, and those stories would be true, except in my South, even in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we called the anti-queen city when I was coming out, there was a place for a queer kid like I was to just go and just be. If you were a queer questioning teenager and you could get yourself out of your house and down to Time Out Youth's church basement, you could be all of yourself, if only for like an hour on Mondays. But that being meant everything. It meant visibility, it meant legibility, and a kind of a common language that told you you were not, in fact, the crazy, godless heathen your church billboard told you you were. Right? But my weekly visits to the Visionary Queer Youth Support Group even meant meeting a nice girl like Abbey Low over Diet Coke and sugar cookies. So I had that going for me, right? I had a place to go and a place to say I was going, even if they were not at all the same place. So one day during that summer of coming out all over, we all sat down, a crew of Black sissies and softball playing tomboys and white boys missing football practice to come out. And we complained with the poor girls who wore their mascara like a shield, an impenetrable shield of shiny nails and perfect hair, right? Their femininity was this sheen of Aquanet, right? We complained, not very graciously, about the fact that we couldn't go to any pride parade in case our parents saw us on the newspaper, and we couldn't go to prom, the teenage coming out ball, because we couldn't go with the person we wanted, and so we made our own. I used every debutante gala planning day possible for the queer coming out ball. Elizabeth, my debutante alibi, had me working like a dog. Mom, how do you rent champagne flutes? Yes, that is a mirror ball in the backseat of my car. We need it for the after party. Could I borrow your ABBA CD? Other kids do drugs. You know what I'm saying? The gala ball happened in the middle of July. You didn't have to wear a tux. You just had to come as you were, or as the wildest imagination you had of the person you might someday become. Ezekiel wore the bra they tore off her in high school, and Tamara gave her her feather boa to cover the broken straps, right? Martin, the other fag from my high school, gave me a tuxedo print t-shirt, and he sported the rainbow scarf I wore the night I almost got elected homecoming queen. Abby, dressed as femininely as her soon-to-be enlisted, could do more push-ups one-handed than I can do on my knees frame would allow. And we elected Ezekiel prom queen and Abby the king. And when the dancing was done, we all piled into our rented limousine and headed south to Wingate, North Carolina, where stands the Jesse Helms Senatorial Library, where we danced on the lawn like the crazy, godless heathens our dear, faithful senator told us we were. You can dance. You can dance where you are. Dance great. So can y'all please imagine the scene for a moment when the Wingate police arrive? Ezekiel has her tongue down Tommy's throat, and my hips have Abby's handprints all over them when the flashlight turns on. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to say when the cop hollered from the car, "You know, I don't think y'all should be doing that." We didn't know what to do. I mean, what did he mean? Like, which part? So before we went home to the part selves we lived at home, Abby invited me over. So you know what this means. So I get to her apartment on the wrong side of the tracks and I call my mom. And I tell her that the Sandersons pre-debutante pool party ran just a little bit too late. And since I was on Liz's side of town, I was just gonna stay over with Liz at whose house I was calling from, because Liz and her mom needed help folding the Bird of Paradise napkins for the mother-daughter tea the next day. But I would come home early from Liz's house where I was calling from, and Mom and I could get ready together and we could go to the mother-daughter tea together, and she'd meet all these wonderful people whose elbows I've been rubbing all summer long. And my mom sounded like a little funny when we hung up the phone, but what did I care, right? Right? The next morning, I drove across town, my windshield glaring so bad in the crosstown war of light and reflection that I had to stop at Athens All-Night Diner, the working class joint on the northwest corner of Southeast Charlotte, where rich kids like me went to eat to feel authentic, to have some coffee and rub the light out of my eyes. You didn't think I was gonna kiss and tell, did you? When I got home, I crept through the kitchen, and there, at the table, asleep, sat my mother, a bird of paradise folded in front of her and a box of unfolded napkins on the table. Oh, shit. I kept creeping quietly past my fast asleep mother, but that one loose floorboard you always try to avoid. Mom wakes up, the what? The accusations. I was a pothead too. The accusations fly. Liz's mom came by to drop off the napkins I was to fold and bring to the tea. And what's more, and I know this is unbelievable, especially to kids today, but there are some people on this Zoom who are gonna know what I'm talking about. We got caller ID the day before, only I didn't know it because I was at the Grand Gala Ball with all of my friends. My mom knew that the prefix 864 meant that I was calling from the wrong side of the tracks, right? Now, did I mention that Abby got kicked out of her house at 16 for being a dyke? And so she lived in her very own apartment at 19 on the wrong side of the tracks. Now, picture my mother awake in the early summer morning, staring at her kid wearing a tuxedo print t-shirt and glitter everywhere. I was about to go from teenage lesbian invisibility to the big splotch of mascara on the face of the straightness my mother expected of me. But we're not there yet. We're not there. No, my mother, my white ass, 5'4" British mother, standing in her Laura Ashley breakfast nook on the south side of Charlotte, North Carolina, asks me very seriously, "Have you been smoking crack?" Now, much later, a good friend of my mother's would tell me that mom wished that I would have made true her classist, racist, worst nightmare, rather than tell her the truth that I did that summer. But I had just had my grand gala ball of coming out, right? I didn't need any sweet tea. I swallowed hard. I said, Mom, I'm not a drug addict. I'm fucking gay. Don't you get it? And then I grabbed the box of unfolded napkins and headed out onto the hot southern summer street of making things new. That's my story for you.
Yay. Aw.
There's always that one little hitch where you like, where that word that just like,
Mhm.
and you're just like, where is it? Where, come back. It just blew in a cloud of pot smoke, just like,
Just away.
you didn't do any more weed after that because
No, I moved on to crystal meth, and it's worked out.
Perfect.
remember shit and talk fast. So
Yeah.
I'm high right now. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Oh, Scott, what is happening? Tell us. Tell us more.
So I'm making this cool project. It's called Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps. And it used to be a one-man show, like a live one-man show, and the audience would call out numbers. It was like neo-futurist, right? You'd call out numbers, and so you'd say like everybody would always say 69. So I tell story 69. But then we'd also do like 84, 111, 32, and you'd get like maybe 6 stories in a night, maybe 6 or 8 stories in a night.
Yes.
So it was a new show every time, so you had to keep coming back because I'm a marketing genius like that.
Look at you.
But we can't do that anymore. So
But you can't remember the word accusation, but you can remember 127 stories.
That's crazy.
This marketing genius.
you know, and
Yeah.
that one word is always there. So
Yeah.
so we're making it. We made a series of shorts that actually premiered at Tribeca this year, but nobody got to see it because COVID. So we got video, we got audio, like kind of a limited series podcast for the stories that you want to hear, right? That are really like my mom's accent, right? You got to hear that.
Yes.
And then there's a book, right? So it's kind of like a cross-platform, choose your own adventure, except that is a trademark phrase, so it is not actually choose your own adventure. Find the story as you wish kind of story. And it's called Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps. So if you follow it on any of the social medias, I'll keep you updated, and I'd love to bring you into the story.
Awesome.
Yay.
Amazing. Oh my God, thank you very much, everyone, for coming today and listen to our stories. Thank you very much to our storytellers for finding time and just love with rainbows and unicorns and all that stuff. We're going to be back on July 9th, so please come back. But it's going to be just a regular show, not this beautiful, colorful show for Pride celebration. All right. So thank you again. Happy Pride. Love is love. Yay.
Yes.
Yay, happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everyone.